Alright, working on this RL, WL motor thing here again. Figuring out these oil lines. What I had planned is not going to work. I wanted to incorporate this hand oil pump into here as a line location. That's not going to work. It only goes up halfway up the tank, so there's no room for vent or return. The oil level will be up here, so it doesn't work if it's below the oil level. So the next plan was to put the two lines up here in the front, right up in here, and have them going back like that, catching up with the feed line here. But that's not going to work because I need to have a drain plug for this tank. And you can't have a drain back here on top of your motor. That ain't going to work. Behind all this stuff and the shift lever linkage, it ain't going to fly. So I'm going to wind up doing is putting a drain plug up here someplace. Anywhere in this area up in here would be fine. This is going to get capped off. And I'm thinking I'm going to put these two lines back here in line with each other. And I'm going to angle them back a little bit like that. So they're going to wind up being one behind the other here. So we have one behind the shifter up under here. And then one behind this other line up in here. So both lines will be going like this. All three lines are going to be going across the tank here. We got to include the gas petcock here. So they'll be going across here and then down to the oil pump down there. So that's our best access. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting the tank open and see what I got to clear. Because there's a big screen up under here and all this. And a big piece of crap on that thing too. So everything has got issues. There's your tube there you gotta clear. There's your screen down in there. You can make up all that stuff in there. It's a screen. So the area we have to work to is over here off the side, right between the back wall and the tube over there, which is kind of close to work with. And it's all leaded together under there. Here's where the gas tank is. That's where the vent tube goes up to. The oil pump tube goes up to there. So no way using that. So basically there's a big screen all through here on the inside. This is a big mess all around here, full of solder or lead. So all we got the areas work through here a little bit. We're gonna have there's a flange right here where this is welded together where my finger is. You got lead over here, so you got a very narrow pathway right through here that I'm hoping we got access to. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut a hole in here. I wind up welding the plate in like this. I'll have my fittings all welded to the plate, and along with the upright tubes going all at the top of the tank. And I'll make that as a unit, and I'll drop it into the tank and weld it in the tank. It'll be permanently installed. And then wherever I got room left over after all that, I'll figure out where I want a drain plug. And somewhere in here we'll put a bung in here and put a drain plug. But I got to keep all of this stuff cold because I don't want to melt this lead. And obviously this is all leaded right to here, so a plug can't be put here. It's going to be over here someplace. So tanks are just completely leaded together, so it makes it hard to figure out stuff. Looks like there's a big dent in here too. It's always nice. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this open and see what's inside. Alright, I got the tank here cut. I got this piece of square stock I'm going to use for making my plate. I'm going to take two of these fittings and put those in there at an angle. Drill them and tap them into the plate. Like that, this block. I'm going to put a shoulder on here so it'll rest on top of the tank right there. Oop, see where you can see it. So we'll leave it just a little bit of a shoulder. And hopefully got room for everything else to go through here. We've got the piece left over to weld back in if we screw it up. Not likely. Ooh. Appears to be a hole in there. Alright, well for better or worse, that's what you got to work with. So go ahead and I can clean this up and lengthen it a little bit or whatever. So So now I'm going to go make this other piece here that I need. Machine this. Got kind of an idea what we got to work with now. Figure how we get lines to go in there. Hopefully there's nothing back in there in the way. Can't even see in there. Nope. Right now I got my fingers in the hole, you can't even see them. Completely behind that tube. Which is good because we're not near any of that lead stuff. Alright. Okay, I just got done scoring up this piece of metal here. So now I'm trying to figure out what angle to put the holes in here for the fittings. So these are my triangles here. So we got 30 degree, 60 degree, 45 degree. So what you do is you lay this along the table here. Put your block on there. Put this at parallel with the table and come over here and look and see what you got to work with. Damn shadow. So basically we got to figure out how much of an undercut can we put in here to get this to work. And if I buried the nut completely inside of it, we can come in at an angle like that. Be a pretty heavy angle. I think that's going to be too realistic, but maybe. Obviously this angle here is forget it. So now we're at the 60 degree angle. That one looks a lot more feasible because you still got room for your 1/8 inch pipe to thread in there. And we're not cutting into here too awful bad. So I'm thinking that's more of a realistic angle. Now to get a better perspective of this, we flip it around the other way. Lay it over there. And we put this in here at the angle it is on the back side here. It's the same thing. So that's obviously the wrong one. Flip it around the other direction. So now we line up our plate here. And we look at our angle. So that looks like it might be a usable number. Let's go to the bottom. It's going to be hanging out the bottom of the tank, so lay it all the direction you're going to use this, you get a pretty good perspective of what you're going to do. So this is this line. This one here would be this line. So it's just a matter of getting figured out in your head what you're going to do. So I'm thinking that's probably a pretty good angle. I don't think we're going to be able to do 45 degree, which is this one over here. Keep bumping everything. So now we light up that triangle over there. Let's eyeball it. I like to get it in at 45 degree, but I'm just not thinking that's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it at 30, see what I think, and if I think I can go more, I'll go to 45. Because we'll be cutting deeper in the block, not less. So start with your lower angle, and you can always move it over. So I'm going to try that, see what it looks like. Okay, there's the halfway done with that, or at least we're putting one hole in it. More than halfway to go yet. So I got this one right on the edge here. So counterboard in there so you can put a sock in there to tighten it up. And there's our hole out the other side, which we're going to have to put some kind of a fitting up onto that to keep it going where we want it to. So I'm going to wind up putting this one here way over here. I'll put it over here next to the edge also, so I got plenty of room here to tighten these things up with. Don't need to be getting them too close to each other. So I'm gonna go check on the gas tank to make sure this looks okay, but so far it looks like it's all right to me. So I just need to make up another one here. So put another hole right over here. So let's see what it looks like. So we're cutting our second shoulder in here right now. Doing 25 at a time. Have my triangle down here underneath, holding it so it doesn't drop. It likes to drop. That changes your angle up here if it drops any. So far it's not moving. I'm going to go a little bit over a 1/4 inch down. I'm an 1/8 inch into it right now. Now keep going. I think I'll hit the vise before I go all the way down, so I'll have to stop. Reset it up a little higher. It takes a while to get this done. Take small light cuts and it'll go quick if they keep resetting up everything. Cutters help you too. Like I care about that too much, but oh well. It's 200 now. Looks like I'll get a 1/4 inch, but barely. Alright, we'll get back to my drill hose. Okay, here's the second hole is in there. Fitting is in there. Deburred it. There's where the holes are. Kind of missed it by a little bit. I supposed to have about 100th thou wall over here and I got 0, so not sure how that worked out, but I came up with 1 3/8 center line, 1/400. I went 1/400, but I guess my angle was slightly off. Oh well, it'll still work. It's just right on the edge. So these are 2 lines here to go in here. Go. So that's how that'll look now underneath the gas tank after it's welded in. Obviously these are going to have to go straight this way, but they'll overlap a little bit, which is fine. And I got access to get my wrench in here. Got a lot more room than I was supposed to have, so it's probably the 100th thou extra came from. What did it actually cut? It's supposed to be 1/400. Yes, looks like 1/400. Well, somewhere I came up with about 100th thou error in there because when I was holding the wrench on, there was going to be a lot closer than this. So it's more like about right here. So, but oh well, that's okay. It'll still all work. So now for the inside, I can get 2 lines that go up inside the tank. So I'm going to have to make up some kind of adapter here, weld it to this, and I also have to have a big bar sticking up to support the 2 tubes so it won't break off, and weld it all together. So there'll be 3 things going up, 2 tubes and 1 bar to hold it, and it's going to go up probably about 7 inches up to here. The vent will go right to the top of the tank, and then the return line will have a loop in it going toward the front of the tank. And it'll blow on the front of the oil tank, and that way it'll have the pickup is right here, right between these 2 fittings. So that way you don't have the oil just go right from here right back into here. You want to blow it in the front of the tank, let it do its cooling, then come back to here. So anyway, that's how it's supposed to work. So we're going to take this one back and go look at it on the gas tank, see how it looks like on the bike. Okay, now we're over here on the bike here, and the gas tank in this case. So here's our feed line coming out of here. So here's our little manifold piece. It's going to go right inside that hole at some point. That'll be the next thing to do. I got to cut it to recess it into there a little bit. So you can see how all the lines are going to be coming out in one area, run across the bottom of our tank here. So it should work pretty good. We got good shift bolt clearance here, or not shift bolt, shift lever stud. So this is your pivot point for your shifter, which hangs down here. So we got good clearance to everything, so it's below that. Actually, it's going to get plugged up here. Still got to put a bung up here for a drain. But yeah, now I got to do is go ahead and trim this down, put a shoulder on here, cut this tank to the rest of the width. Just to go in, figure out where I want the height to be, up and down, front to rear, I mean. And then I also got to figure out I'm going to do the tubes up through here and reinforce them. So basically, this is right here. And the tube has to go way up to here. So that's about 8 inches there, has to come up. The vent has to go right at the top of the tank or won't work right. And then this will have to blow across the front here and come down this side here. Then we'll go back over here and go out. So I gotta figure out how we're gonna do all that. So that's gonna be a pretty good length up there. That's get to the very, very top up there. That's a good 9 inches, I bet. Of course, I got to fish it in there around this oil pump, hand oil pump that comes from here, right through here. So I got to clear that. So it'll be interesting. We'll just start poking stuff up in there, see our clearances. Right now, not sure what we got. We got a tube right there in the way. I guess we have a tube right here. We can test it a little bit with. If we keep it to the inside edge there, it looks like it might fit. Definitely want to go that way. It's a pretty good angle. So it looks like it can go almost dead straight. Run along that edge there like that. So that'd be good. Alright, well that's something to play with tomorrow. For now, we're done for the night. There it is. So we're trimming down the block here, the manifold. Down a little bit so recess in the fuel tank. Alright. So we're cutting this down so to recess into the fuel tank. So this will be on the inside in here. This lip here is what's going to hit on the edge of the fuel tank. So we're just cutting it down. So we're into the 400 thou right now. So I'm going to go look in the back and see if I like what this is. But basically we're cutting it back to get so we have something that just doesn't fall into the tank. I still got to put my tubes and support rod up in here yet. So we'll be working out here in a minute. So that's where we're at for now. Okay, I got this manifold all cut down now. Made it look a little more pretty. So now I'm going to figure out how much I'm going to cut here. So this is going to get recessed into the port here, into the tank. So right now we got to decide how much we're going to put this in and exactly where. So I looked on the bike and basically about in this location here is where I want to put it. So right now I'm trying to figure out how much we're going to cut. So right now it looks like about this much here to take out of the front of the tank, and then about that much in the back. Then I'm going to widen this about 100 thou here. So I'm going to do that with die grinder, and a little bit with the chop saw. I'll work myself back back and forth. I got to cut this more square. It's going pretty straight and dog-legged in. So I'm going to cut that out a little bit. This is a slight taper here, so I'll cut this out right here and square up this surface. So we'll do that with a grinder. This has to be 2.5 inches long, which is way down to here. So if you come up a little bit and cut down to that line, it'll be about 2.5. So I'm going to do that. Come back, show you what it looks like. Okay, we're getting this manifold figured out here. I got my shifter bolt that comes in through here. So I got room to put that in. That's definitely needed. And this one has no screwdriver slot, but if I had a screwdriver slot, it would fit in there also. So that'll fit. So you can see what the slot looks like. I'm a little bit fat here in the back, but okay. So I go ahead and lengthen the slot here. Looks like about 150 thou right there. Yeah, maybe an 1/8 inch. Basically, we go to that line right there. That's the first line right there, it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and slot that out and not quite go over so deep. I'm getting a little bit too far over here. So, alright, so I'll cut that out with a die grinder. I'm using this one right here right now. So we're just going to cut that out a little bit right in there. And then we'll use a file. There's a file right here to make the corner square. Alright, go ahead and do that right now. Alright, I got that hole cut out now. So here's our manifold piece. It's right in there like that. So this clamp right here fell off right here. Yeah, like that. Lines out of the way. So this had a very bad weld right here, or solder in this case. So I bumped it and it fell off. So I'll have to glue that back on. I'm getting better access for welding now. So this lead here I'm going to clean back a little bit so I won't have that in my weld. I got to get the tank a little bit flatter than what it is. A little bit thin up. But you can see how the lines go like that. So that's how it's going to fit on the bike. They're angled to the rear. So it's all up in there. Doesn't look too bad the way I got this all cut back. It doesn't look like just a big piece of chunk sticking out of the tank. Actually looks like it's supposed to be like these other things that stick up are. So I still got to make a bung like that to stick up in the front here, but we'll work on that. Alright, I'll go ahead and put this up on the bike and see what our head clearance is. It's going to be close, but it should clear hopefully. Alright, here we are up on the bike again. Ah, it just flipped around on me. Ah, damn. Fittings are screwing with me over here. Okay. Alright, that fits up in there. So you can see the clearance, that one out of the way. You can see the clearance we got up here on the head. That thing out of the way. It's hard to do this with one hand. There we go. Alright, finally get it where I can hold it. You can see. Okay, so manifold all the way up in there now. These lines keep falling back, but oh well. So you can see how I got some clearance up here, about half a finger to a finger, up here between the lines and the fins. So that'll do what I need to do that way. This one here fits back like that when they're in there correctly. So this one here I'll have the same type of drop up on it coming up. Raise these things up higher. I'll try to get these things up pretty close to the top of the tank, or at least up to 1 inch below the tank, and then they'll just come on, drop down behind the motor there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that leveled on the bottom of the tank and weld it in, and then I'm gonna have to start making a bung. But we'll go ahead and get this welded up in here now. We're gonna use the wire feed to do that because I don't want to TIG it, because if you put too much heat in the tank, it's going to melt lead out and have lots of leakage issues. So we're going to get in quick, weld it, get the hell out, and cool it, and just do little tacks at a time until it's all the way across welded. Because this lead here, if you get any heating at all, it just melts apart. We definitely don't want the tank to fall apart. So there we go. Alright, got ahead of myself a little bit. Ready to weld this damn thing in and go, oh shit, I don't have my tubes in here yet. So I just centered up off my hole. This is 3/8 end mill. This is 3/8 tubing here. So that fits in there like that. Of course, it's not a nice press fit like I'd like, but oh well, can't have everything. So that'll have to get tacked in there. We'll probably wind up brazing these in because I don't want to damage the tubing very much. So that'll go in there like that. So I kept my old dimensions, which is my angle triangle, and I know my offset's 1.4, so once I send up the first hole, I know the second one should be pretty close. The advantage of knowing the dimensions when you make stuff. Deeper. Alright, almost see in there. So I got a little bit of a counter bore down there. So that one fits in there, and get the hell out of the way. That one fits in there. Back a little bit so you can see better. Alright, so there's our, we'll get two of those welded in there. And I stuck this bar up inside the gas tank, piece of square tubing here. Just some thin wall fence post material. Stole it from the guy next door. So we'll go ahead, this is roughly the angle it comes through the gas tank. So I'll cut this off, weld it to the manifold. And then I'll take the tubes, stick them in there, and then I'll braze these to the manifold, and then braze these to the tube over here to support. Now hopefully this is strong enough it won't vibrate and keep everything from breaking. Otherwise these will break off in here, and then the oil tubing won't work right. The return line will be trying to pump into a full tank, and the vent will drain all the tank into the motor, which would not work very good. So that's why you gotta do it this way. Alright, I'm gonna clean this up, see what we got to work with. Alright, I just got done boring a hole over here. Missed a couple steps here, but basically I made a design change. So to help give me some support here, my tube going in here to help hold up my lines that come out of this right here. We have two lines coming up. So we're going to have this welded onto here, but to keep this from breaking off, because there'd be no support up here and it's relatively heavy, I'm going to go ahead and press this bolt into here, and then I'll weld it in, and then I'm going to put the tube over the bolt, so that'll give it some good support. So that way the tube, this won't have any tendency to break off, because it's going to be only sticking out that far. So that should reinforce things quite a bit. The other problem I got, I'm adding a lot of weight onto this thing, so I'm going to go ahead and shave this down in a mill. And I'll cut this thing to a lot thinner wall thickness than what this is. This is probably 50 wall or so maybe. Let's see what it actually is. Oh, it's 60 wall. So I'm going to cut that down to something really thin, like 25 wall or something like that. So that'll take a lot of the weight out of this. Because all I got to do is hold this up here, so... But I don't have so much weight on here, it's going to break the bottom of the tank away. So I'm kind of worried about that. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put a hole through here too while I'm at. What the hell? This is just a 1/2-inch bolt I turned down. I think I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and run a bolt, or a drill through this thing and lighten this thing up. We're not going to break this bolt off, but we can get rid of some of this weight. I just want to have the tank breaking off at the weld when I weld this in. So I'm going to put this on a diet too. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to start cutting this away, and we'll see what this looks like. I get it more done. Okay, here's that piece I just got done cutting. Originally I was going to weld it on the outside of the bolt here, but I can see that I'm just starting to break through the bottom corner here. I was trying not to go too deep to do that, but I was guessing on the depth. Guess I got too close. But now I got this far, just thinking, instead of welding this bolt in, and to give it a place to fracture on the outside edge, I'm going to go ahead and drill this hole out here, just where that dimple area is, not the whole shoulder area, so I'll still have a stop. I'll press this in, because it's a press fit. I got about a thou press on this. And then I'll weld it on the back side here, so that it won't come out. So that means this will not have a tendency to want to shatter right here. So there's one less chance of this thing breaking, this bolt. Because the bolts are strongest if you don't weld on them. Any metal is. So I'll try that, and we'll just weld on the back side, and that should keep it plenty tight. Then I'm going to go ahead and weld the tube on it all the way around the base, so that we will weld all the way in. It shouldn't get into this bolt, hopefully. But if it does a little bit, that's okay. We're still going to weld it from the bottom. So just trying every little trick I can think of to keep from having this thing come loose, because once I weld this into the tank, it's not coming out without destroying the tank. So one more thing to play with. We'll show you how it looks when I get more into it here. Okay, I got the stud in here now. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and weld this in. It's a little bit bigger hole than I thought it was going to be, but that's because it's at an angle. So I'm going to go ahead and weld that solid. Weld this whole thing up even again, so it'll look like it wasn't there. Hopefully it doesn't warp this too bad, the rest of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and start working on this, turning this down here, this piece of tube. So we'll do that right now. Okay, I got this all welded in here now. It's only semi-hot. So I got that welded all the way through, weld up that whole hole. So I'm going to go ahead and machine that back flat. So basically you won't know I did it. So that stud is in there good. So that gives a nice permanent fixture now we can stuff this on too. And we don't have to worry about this thing breaking and falling off. So I just slide this thing over it, put a couple welds up the side here, and a couple of holes up the very top. And I don't have to do any more welding on the bottom here. I can just put a couple welds in there, put a little slot up the edge if I want, whatever. I'll figure something out. I'll drill some holes in it, do a couple of rosette welds. We'll do something. Either way, this piece will not fall out of here. It actually goes on this side here, but so I'm going to go ahead and trim this down now, make it a lot thinner than what it is. So, onward and upward. We'll take our last cut here on this tube, we're narrowing it down. Cutting 30 thou wall off. It's 62 walls, so should be about 30 or 35 when we're done. Give or take a little. Definitely making a lot lighter. Alright, so there's what it looks like now. Definitely thinned it up a lot. It's a lot lighter. Feels like it's less than half, but I only cut half of it out, so it can only be half the weight. But half the weight's a big difference in weight. So now we got to clean this up, deburr a little bit. I'm going to push it on there and see how that works. In the rush to get this welded, I forgot to drill a hole down the damn bolt, so I'm going to attempt to drill that mill over here. Stick it up in here and see how good that'll do. Probably won't work very well, but I'll see if I can go down an inch or two in there at least, get some of the weight out. So, alright, get a little deburr in here, a little filing, clean this up, and we'll see what it looks like when I get further along. Alright, I got the hole drilled in there. So, went in there 2 inches. So we're drilled in there that deep. So we got a 1/2 inch of solid bar in here, supported. And then you come about a 1/2 inch and it's hollow. I'm going to wind up putting a hole somewhere about in here, about another 1/2 inch up to let oil drain out. because it's going to collect inside this tube. So, well, actually, I don't know if I'll do that or not. Yeah, actually, I don't think I'll do that. I'll put it up here inside of this tube. Or should I do that tube? Yeah, I won't do it. Yeah, I'll probably do it with thread. Stronger if I go through the whole piece. So we'll come up about 2 inches up. We'll put a hole right through the whole thing after I weld it all on. Give us a drain hole. That way it'll be able to drain the oil out a little bit. So it'll seek its own level, whatever oil level we got. So we'll do that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and beat this thing on there and see how far it goes. It should go in fairly easy. It's thin wall now, so. And then we'll go ahead and figure out how we're going to put some holes in here. What I want to do, I might do the holes first. Probably put the holes in first. I make this up as I go. So, alright, well either way, I'm going to work on it. Okay, I got the tube all drilled, deburred, pressed on and over the stud. Got it rotated so it's exactly square, flat, whatever you want to call it. So, pretty well good to go. So all I can do is come here, rosette weld all these welds right here. I'm not going to weld it around the base, so I shouldn't let any stress fractures through that area. The top of the stud ends about right in here. All of these holes are at different heights, so there's no straight side to side. See, that one's there, that one's a little bit lower. So there's no place you can just fracture straight across. And so that should be pretty good for that. These tubes here, I'm going to have to make up tubes obviously, but when I put them in here, I'll go ahead and weld them into here. And I'll braze them down here at the base to seal them. And we'll braze them up along in here. We'll have them run up the length of this tube here. And the return line we'll have sticking out over the top. Or probably right in front of the top. This here is the front of the tank. It'd be right here, this direction. This is the front. So I'll probably make this the return line. It'll sit about this height here. Go all the way down here, weld in here. And we'll tack it along here in a few spots. And as the tank is actually straight to the tank is like this rub that is here. So the curve of the tank actually falls right along this edge. So it'll put the return oil right along the front of the tank. It'll just drain right down the front of the tank, which will dissipate the air bubbles against the side of the tank. And it'll also have it kept it well away from the pickup, which is way over here, way down here. The vent's just going to go straight up the tube right up here, and we'll just end it right here at the top. That'll be our vent. So nothing fancy there. We'll have to figure out if we want to, what we'll do about all that. But I'm still going to put a drain hole a couple inches up from the base here. So whatever gets in this tube here will drain out of it. So, alright, I'm going to do a fitment in the tank and see how close I am. You can see here where the stud is, it goes right up to here, because see where it buckled it out. So it's definitely a lot lighter than it was before, so hopefully it'll stop the gas tank from breaking where I welded in here. Alright, we'll go back check that. Alright, we're back here at the gas tank. Let's see how good we are. It's sitting up in there, I can tell that. So it looks like we have a little bit of gap right in here. So that means I need to bend it. Slight bow in there. Let's see what that does in the inside of the tank. Yeah, great. The light just went off. There it is. Alright, there's your tube in there. Looking light. So it's right up on the inside next to that tank there. So we're hitting on cross tube way down in there. So looks like I have to put a little bit of a bend in there. Of course, that's probably down there where my bolt is too, I bet. Alright, well, we'll figure that out tomorrow. It's pretty close. Tube's right there. Yeah, maybe I'll dimple a little bit. It's actually in there a little way. About 2.5 inches in. It would be right where my bolt is though, so that would be a problem. Not likely it's going to move. I know that tube's there is not going to move, so. I think I'll just weld it right next to it. That'll put pressure on the tank. I don't know. We'll see what I'm going to do. I don't really mind having it rubbing on the inside in there. It's not like it's going to shake and make noise because you have oil in it. But it'll stabilize that tube. I know that. When you weld this all up, it's going to shrink the damn sheet metal. It's going to definitely have tension on it. So might not be a bad thing. I'll think about it. Anyway, that's where we're at for tonight. So we'll continue with it later. Okay, we're working, showing what these oil lines are going to look like on the bike here before I weld this stuff all up. So, right now you can see the head clearance we got up under here. Got almost a finger width up under here with these lines. Obviously got to rebend these because they don't clear the tank, but you can see all that's going to work pretty good. This line here is going to go over here also. So I'm going to have all three of these lines going to the back. So that's where we're at right now. I got good access to all the hardware. You should be able to get the lines on and off here in the bike without too much effort. So overall, it's going to look pretty good. So for now, that's where we're at. So, still got to weld it all together yet. But anyway, that's where we're at for now. Time to call it a day.